handle the truth.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Just give me 1 second. We were in the process of doing some studio sound checks, and as you guys know, I'm in the new studio. So it's trying to get, bam, there I go, and then it's getting Mr. Dion up. Demetrius, not Dion. What the hell I'm talking about. So welcome back again. I apologize. Just things got out of control as we're trying to get all this stuff set up, get the new studio set up. We want to be able to bring you guys guests. And D, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, I can hear you too. I may have to hang up and call you back. Let me hang up and call you back and see if I can get you to pop up that way. So tonight's show, before we get started, is going to be on the Optimism, Optimistic Mind. D, why aren't you popping up?
It's called You can't see me?
No, I don't have anything on you here. But you can be heard, so you can speak while I try to figure this out.
I can see me loud. I can see me clear as day.
Yeah, no, it's on my end. I can't get you to pop up because we were just in the process of switching everything, so. But they can hear you. Go ahead, D.
Yo. Y'all know who it is. It's the brother Demetrius Knuckles Hill. Thursday night get right. I'm trying to get myself right because I'm under the weather right now. I'm trying to get right. So, but that don't stop the fact that we coming in, we talking about a topic that should be near and dear to everyone's heart right now, especially when people are going through so many trials and tribulations and suffering so much pain and trauma in this day and time, whether it's through governmental issues or whether it's through social issues, community issues, or personal issues. We going through some stuff, and right now it's time that we tap into having some optimism, some being able to look past the things that we're going through and not be so pessimistic about what we're going through and how we're going to get through it. We have to have optimism. That's what gets us through these trials and tribulations, these bad times. I'm gonna pass it back to the brother, and I'm gonna set it up on TikTok.
Amen, guys. And again, I apologize. We're just gonna have to run this without Demetrius visual. So I mean that's just what it is. So I can concentrate on the conversation. So again, I apologize. Next week we'll have all this straightened out. It's just time constraints. Here running this nonprofit. It's just everything is just full time. And then that's on both of our sides. So we connected earlier today for several hours working all of this out, and then as soon as you go live, everything goes haywire. So I do apologize. But on to tonight's topic. First and foremost, I want to give many, many blessings and graces to God, first and foremost, for allowing us the opportunity to be here and put us through the trials and tribulations that we've been through in our life, to come and be able to speak on them in the fashion that we are, because we're in tumultuous times. And I was having a conversation with a pastor earlier today about this, and it's just realizing that, once you've come into the Spirit is going to guide you if you allow it to, and again, for those, I'm not a religious person. I don't subscribe to religion. I don't do these things, but I have come in contact with the Spirit. And I have trusted the Spirit to allow it to guide me through these times that we're in. And as you see, these are tumultuous times that we're in. And so, things are just happening, by chance. And one thing we always have to remember is, and the scripture even tells you this in all the Bibles and all the religious texts, is chaos brings change. And you have to understand when you're in the midst of that chaos that you are protected as long as you know that your thoughts are pure, that you're moving in as righteous of a manner as you could, and that's where the faith comes in at. That's where the optimism comes in at. Going through what I was going through, the transition of being incarcerated, hating the world, feeling like the world didn't understand me, just constantly victimizing myself. I was looking at everything in a pessimistic view. I was looking at everything as a doom and gloom, and I wasn't even realizing that, because people would say that to me, D. They'd be like, man, you're all about that doom and gloom stuff. And to me, I'm like, I'm just really being real. Like, this could really happen. You know what I mean? So, like, where is that line at, D? Where do we draw the line as to optimism versus pessimism? Where is it that too much optimism then can start to put our life in danger?
Well, let me say that there comes a time in our life when we have to understand that we already been through some stuff. Somebody once told me, I'm going to send you somebody once told me, man, they said, if you going through hell, he said, and you going through hell, think about what I'm saying, and you going through hell. He said, don't turn around to try to get up out of it. He said, keep going, because that's how you're going to get through it. But if you think you're going to turn around to get up out of it, you sadly mistaken, because the road behind you from where you came from is longer than the road ahead of you from what you're trying to get to. Because faith is in front of you. Faith don't sit behind you. Hope is in front of you. Hope don't sit behind you. Optimism is in front of you. Optimism don't sit behind you. So when we speak of I just sent you an invite because I'm live right here. So
To the TikTok?
yeah. So when we speak of optimism, we're literally talking about the difference between life and death. Because that pessimism that people tend to impose on us so much, and sometimes we wallow in that pessimism, that becomes that dark cloud around us. And when you got that dark cloud around you, man, I just keep on having these memories, man, of I remember a brother said when I was in prison, he said, if you know you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, get back in the bed and get up on the other side. He said, because if you know you woke up on the wrong side of the bed and you just go to the child hall or go to the gym or go to the yard and somebody look at you the wrong way, you gonna snap because you know you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. So we tend to put them dark clouds around ourselves. We build a fortress of darkness around us because we look at situations in our life and we say, did you get that invite?
Yeah, but my phone's about to die, man. I can't get on.
So we look at situations in our life.
I'm all out of shape over here, man. Are you there? You froze up on me? Hello? Oh, Lord. But D, why he's reconnected, man, I don't know. We got all kinds of things going on, man. So just bear with us. I'm embarrassed. But that's power. And what D had just said is the fact that and like Miss Denise had said, where do you draw the line? So the line gets drawn in kind of a balancing scale, because one thing I learned in life is you gotta be able to work the middle, right? So you have to stay in the middle of things. The middle is where the calmness is at. So it's looking and being able to gauge, or I might be able to get them now. It's looking and being able to gauge at. I don't know what's going on with D right now. We'll see if he calls back. But it's being able to determine where you're at in life. See, for me, right, I had nothing left but optimism. I had nothing left but optimism because pessimism wasn't getting me anywhere. To keep a pessimistic mindset, I was starting to realize that I was just victimizing myself. But for real, I'm on the bottom. Like I couldn't get any lower. I'm in some of the worst federal institutions in America. I'm surrounded by some of the worst people in America. And I knew that that wasn't me. That wasn't where I was supposed to be at. But yet I started figuring that I was putting myself in these positions. Like you heard Dee say, we create our own darkness. So it's understanding the situation that you're in and looking at it, processing it, embracing it. Like my man Bruce Lee said, embrace everything. Embracing what it is so that you can grow from it. And then that's where the optimism starts to come in from. But if we don't do any of that, first and foremost, if we're not embracing whatever it is that we just went through, then we're going to look at it in a pessimistic way. And we're going to start victimizing ourselves. We're going to start justifying and making excuses. Because one thing I know personally and firsthand is it takes two people to be in a toxic situation. So while I'm in this toxic relationship, the whole time I'm calling her toxic, you're toxic, you're toxic, but I'm in a toxic relationship. So it was starting to understand, well, what toxicity am I bringing, right? It's what toxicity am I portraying to fuel this toxicity? Because if only one person is toxic in a relationship, then there is no relationship, because the non-toxic person is gonna kick rocks. They're gonna get the hell out of Dodge, right? We can be our worst, our own worst enemy. And so, who you telling? This was my biggest issue, was being my own worst enemy, because I wanted to blame everything that was going on around me. These people have been putting handcuffs on me since I was 14 years old. So true enough, I didn't have the common knowledge, and there was a system in place to take advantage of that ignorance in me and all children. It was still understanding that I knew consciously at that time, even though I was young, I knew I was breaking into them houses, and I knew breaking into people's houses was wrong. But yet I was still doing it. What I didn't understand as the child was the narcissism that was bred into me as a child without even knowing. So in my mind, in my egoic mind, I am doing what I wanted to do and just going and getting what I wanted to get, irregardless, because at that time I thought I was already at that age bad enough to take on the world. So yes, we can be our own worst enemy without even realizing it. And then we'll form and structure our life around that. Again, me going to incarceration really enlightened me in that aspect. It opened my eyes to the fact that I'm here, I put myself here, and I had to start figuring out why. Why am I putting myself here? But I knew from the very first day that they gave me them 17 and a half years of getting into prison, I knew that I was not going to do that whole time. So again, I had nothing but optimism. You know what I mean? I had nothing but optimism at that time, because I'm at the low already. I have nothing to look forward to but getting out early. So I just knew, and I always kept that within me, knowing that I was going to get out early, whether it was through parole, because at that time that I was going in there, the federal system was talking about bringing back parole. So it was either going to be through that or somehow, some way, but it was going to be without me losing my honor, because that was the whole reason why I was there, is because my honor. I did not want to cooperate. I did not rat. I did not snitch. I put myself in that position. And as always, since I was a child, I always laid in the bed that I made, always. And even now, my father still don't even understand. And so many people ostracize me and turn their back on me because of my decision to go to trial. And my father just a week and a half ago asked me if I could do it all over again. If I could do it all over again, would I go to trial? And I said, Pops, I'll go to trial 1,000 times. Because though the whole point of it is that I put myself in that position. I did that. I put myself around those individuals. That whole time I was blaming the rats. I was blaming the prosecutor. I was blaming the government. I was blaming everybody. And true enough, they had their own part and they got to deal with God about that. But I had my own dealings within that. And it was the friends that I chose to surround myself with because of my lack of self-esteem, my lack of courage. All of these things is what allowed me to surround myself with the same people, cowards. The same as what I was. I was a coward, So I put myself in these positions for what happened to happen. And that's how I had to face my time. I had to walk in with them 17 and a half years, just had a baby, 6 months old, my only daughter. And I had to set my baby down in a carriage that day and turn my back on my child and walk away knowing I'm going to be gone for longer than a decade. Could be life. Could be life. But standing up for what you believe in, to me, is more important than anything else. And you have to be able to die for what you believe in. This is my message to the American citizens today. My Spotify fans, my TikTok fans, my Facebook fans, all of my people. The message is you have to be willing to die for what you believe in. And we lose that because we get tied to these material things. This is where the pessimism starts to set in, because once you use that optimism to get you into a certain position that you're in, you start swaying. Now that pendulum starts swinging to the pessimistic side. You start worrying about all of this stuff that you've accumulated and tied yourself to. So like D said, right? Like D said, we create our own darkness through envy, greed, ego, all of these things. We think that these things make us. So we get into a sense to where now we have all of these materials and now I'm important. I feel like somebody. I got a 20,000 square foot house and I got 5 vehicles and I got chains and I got watches. I mean, I was into all of that. I was into all of that. I was into that lifestyle, that thought process, that the only way I was going to get respect was to have the biggest chain. The only way I was going to get power was to sell the most dope. The only way I was going to get respect was to hurt people. That was my thought process. That is the pessimism. But that is what America is doing to us. That is what America is breeding, and they're putting it into our children, that you have to have status. You have to have some sort of label about you. And then what that does is that drives the kids to make the parents work harder, because the kids want Jordans. Jordans are $200, $300, $400. But the parents know that if the kid goes to school with them busted New Balance, they're going to be teased. And I don't mean to call these brands out like that, because New Balance is straight. I'm just using this generally, hypothetical, So it's just understanding that this pressure that's applied on the children, marketed to the children, then the children are going to go to the parents, play the parents. I did it. I've done it, and this is the structure. And the kids see it. That's what's so important, because one day they're teased, they go and they get the Jordans, and the next day they're not. Now they're the cool kid. They see it and they feel it, and then they grow up like that, constantly chasing that status. the latest fashion. So within all of that, because of the status, because of the ego, it allows us to paint a picture of worry, envy, jealousy, greed, these types of things all over this material stuff. And then you start looking at things pessimistically. What happens if I lose it? Somebody could come rob me. Somebody could come do this. They could set me up, So it's understanding that we need both. I can be pessimistic at times. Again, I can get into that. I can get into, because I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot from A to Z. So it's understanding that these things happen. And it's knowing that, yes, I have to be prepared to some sense. If I'm walking out of my house, I'm going in the public, to know that I'm in public. I'm not in my house. I'm not in the safety of my confines. It's knowing that my attention in my phone or whatever it is a lot less because I'm in public and I'm in a dangerous situation. So to me, that's realism. But it's getting into the fine line of knowing that we always have to have both. I'm a big person of control over all things, have mastery over emotions, over actions, over words, over thoughts, over everything, because we're divine creatures. It tells us that. It tells us that we are divine and we're supposed to have mastery over all things. We have been given dominion over all things, and that's just not animals. That's everything. We've been given dominion over all things. So it's understanding that our emotions, ourselves, thought process is that as well. We are supposed to have mastery over that. We're not supposed to be living in our emotions. Our emotions are a tool. It's a registry to let the brain know that this is a certain situation and this is how you're supposed to react. It's up to you whether to react that way, but hey, we're just letting you know this is going on and this is how you're supposed to feel. Optimism is a key component to positive thought process. Looking forward, like Dee said, moving forward, looking forward, constantly moving forward. And the pessimism is to remind you of what is out there through your experience. It's not to be lived in. Optimism is not to be lived in. I'm a firm believer in a human being can do whatever they want. I don't know why each soul is here to live out whatever that soul is here to live out. That's not my determination. And I've found that that's what allows me to stop passing judgment onto others, because I have no idea why that soul is here. That soul may came here to be specifically an addict. I don't know. Again, it falls all into what you believe when we talk about the spirit. Some people believe that you just die and that's it. You never come back. I believe that energy does not die. Energy always exists, and that we are pure energy. I believe that this hardened shell, this physical form is just a carrier. It's just a body. It's just a car that you get in and you drive to work, and that this is a physical plane. This is the physical plane of experience of material, where we can come and we can experience the physical acts of love, to know what love is in the physical sense, to feel it in that, to see it, to smell it, to taste it. But again, it's to have mastery over self, so that you're able to understand and learn from all aspects. And in able to do that, you have to embrace going back to the top. That is, Pops, that's all in my book. That's all in my book, and optimism is a big part of my book. I repeat the word optimism many times throughout the book because it's a key element to changing your life, to seeing things that you can strive for and move forward to have that optimistic viewpoint. So it's just really going back to Ms. Denise um question earlier as to like when is the line, and it's just really understanding what you're in and not being fearful of it, not being angry of it, not beating yourself up over it. It's just embracing it, soaking it in, letting it hit your body, embracing it, and saying, okay, this is what happened. I created a lot of this because I was doing this and I was doing that. It's it's being 100% honest with yourself. And like I say with my book will not work for you if you're not going to be 100% honest with yourself, with the self. I mean, and that's the only way that I changed. And I didn't go to therapy. I didn't take all these classes. I didn't go sit to these people and cry on their shoulder. They did not prescribe me none of their pills. I just did it out of the sheer want of just wanting to be a good person. That's all I ever wanted to be since a child, was just to have a baby, be a good dad, raise a good family, and do these things. But that just wasn't in store for me. And where I'm at now again is divine driven, because I still want these things, but life has shown me that that's not in the cars. Where I'm at now with the nonprofit, I'm creating residential housing. I'm creating programs in a very corrupt county that has no programs, no cooperation with what's going on. These people are not in touch at all with what's going on in this county. People are dying every day of overdose, and people are really, really jacked up. And when I say jacked up, what that means is they have no hope. This is what I'm trying to get these county officials to get them to understand. It's not that we're lazy. It's not how can we be in the poor community? How can we be lazy? We're not lazy. We're overworked. We're tired. And we have no hope. So when you have no hope, what do you think is that driving force? Where are you going to get optimism from if you have no hope? How can you be optimistic when you have no hope? Wow, this is real good, because let people in what you install when you are a child will affect as an adult. And that's another key point out of the book, is to understand how to embrace our past, is by understanding that our past was shaped and formed by other people's perceptions, other people's opinions of what they think that we should do, what they think we should wear to school, what they think would make us happy. It was all everybody else's perception. So all our choices and our decisions that we made going into our young adulthood was formed by other people's perceptions, realities, and thought process. This is what I had to realize going into prison, that I had no idea even who I was. I had no clue who I was. And it wasn't until I got away from all of that, got all of those ball and chains of emotions tied to, because I wanted to do something else, but my parents wanted me to do something, or somebody else wanted me to do something. I didn't want to hurt their feelings, so I went ahead and did it, even though that I wanted to do something else. Once I got all them shackles off me and I started making my own decisions, that's when I started realizing I didn't know a damn thing. And I was getting in all kinds of stuff because I did not know how to survive without asking somebody else, getting somebody else's opinion, talking to somebody else, seeing how they felt about it. I had to make my own choices. And not only that, but prison forced me to do that, because I knew that I was in a situation, like I wasn't in no nice places. So I knew that I was in a situation where I'm held accountable for my actions, and that accountability could be my life. So I better be real careful about what the hell I'm doing and what ground I'm stepping on. So it was understanding that now I had to really put patience. I had to really put patience into what I was doing. And then not only that, but I wasn't too much of a light person in prison, because in prison everything is racial. A lot of what I talk about on the show. So when we're talking about racial and I'm walking in there who I am, with the beliefs that I am, standing and the type of person that'll stand to the death on what I believe in, that can again put you in very dangerous situations. And I understood that, and I had to play those cards. Again, I had to remain optimistic that I was smart enough to maneuver those waters, because I have Aryan brotherhoods coming up to me. I have white dudes coming up to me. I have all of this racial tension coming at me from my own people as to who I choose to eat with, walk with, associate with, or whoever. And to me, I could care less. If you can hold a good conversation, you talking about something real, and you're not talking about no deviant stuff, no sick stuff, or nothing like this, we could have a conversation. We could break bread if you're real, if you're solid, if you're a good man. We can break bread all day long. I don't care about none of that. But see, they did. And they were trying to tell me who to sit with, who to eat with, what TV to watch. And of course that didn't work out too well for a lot of people. But it's just understanding again, where does the optimism end at? And it's just, I'm thinking even in the ugliest of situations, I still kind of remained optimistic in the most part. And sometimes I guess you could say I was even using optimism to fuel some of my darkness, in the sense of child molesters. There was a time where I was called upon to be the punisher. Again, I put myself in that position because when I first went into prison, it was proving myself, and I somehow I just kind of fell into, the guy that is the one to be called on. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's the truth. And that's exactly what I was a squeaky wheel. And it got to the point to where even the case managers knew that they could call me into their office, sit me down, swing their monitor around to me, and show me the case file, which is completely illegal, but show me the case file of a pedophile that he didn't want to work on his case. And nothing would be said. I would know what that meant. And I would know leaving that office that I had no choice at that time. Because if I didn't do it now, I'm going to be called out as to, hey, man, like, what's going on? You were shown this. How come you didn't get to do it off the yard? So I'm already forced into something now where I know that I got to go put my hands on another human being, and not only put hands on them, but in such a way to make a statement. To make a statement to everybody that this type of behavior is not acceptable in this environment. So if you're coming in there with that type of behavior, know you will be greeted with hell on earth. If you did not think that it exists, let me tell you, catch you a child molestation charge and go to prison. That is not the place you want to be. But in those instances, it's understanding, again, I still remained optimistic in a way. And I was using that optimism, saying that this was what God wanted me to do. Why would God call me into the office? Why would God put me in this position if it wasn't what he wanted me to do? And that got ugly, and that got dark, and it got brutal. And again, I praise God for showing me, breaking through and having bigger and better plans for me, to show me that he was not connected to that. And if I was not, for whatever reason, I felt guided in some sense, I may still be in prison for the rest of my life, because that's how brutal and bad it was getting. And it was just understanding that for whatever reason, man, God just took me through all that stuff to be able to understand and embrace and really start to appreciate life. Appreciate life, understand mental health, understand the system that is designed to make us this way. And from that, always keeping that optimism of wanting to be the good person is where I started to form my nonprofit, I started to understand what was going on, the system, the gears, the mechanisms, looking around and seeing how they're just warehousing all these men and just keeping them stupid. And all the same breath trying to break our spirits. That is what prison is. That is the true essence of what prison is to break the alpha spirit. Because the whole reason why you're going to prison is because you're a righteous thinker. You're an alpha male, an alpha female who is free thinking, doesn't comply, not easily compliant, making their own way. And that is not what the government wants. It's not what any government wants. Government wants compliancy. So this is where I say, if you do not comply, you will die. Prison is a mechanism designed to break the spirit, break the alpha thought process, make us compliant, and then send us home as compliant machines. If you're not understanding that mechanism, again, this is why my book is important. This is why my message to the inmates is important, because if you're not understanding that mechanism, you're going to get out, you're going to recidivize, you're going to go back. And you're going to keep doing that until you just get tired enough to comply. You have to understand the system. You have to know the chessboard of what you're playing on. But optimism, you must keep through the whole process, no matter what situation you're in. If you're in a toxic relationship, you have to understand the toxicity that you're portraying. You have to always look inside, deal with that, and then get out. It wasn't until I started realizing that was it for me to drop everything. I left everything behind. Again, as a returning citizen, I came home, fell right into a relationship with a woman that knew nothing about my trauma, knew nothing about my circumstance. She just saw the material me and wanted that for her toy. Wanted to keep that to the side and keep them quiet. And once she realized that I wasn't going to forget about my past, that I wasn't going to lie to people and say that I was in the military and all this stuff, that I wasn't that type of individual, then that's where the friction really started to happen. By this time, we're 3-4 years into the relationship, done bought a house, me being a returning citizen, everything's got to go in her name. I'm thinking we're going to get married and spend the rest of our life together, but it didn't work out that way. And then once I started really getting into my own, pushing my nonprofit, pushing my podcast, dealing with social media, that's where the toxicity started. But see, instead of me leaving in that moment, thank you. Instead of me leaving in that moment, I created my own toxicity by lying, by saying, no, I'm not going on social media. No, I'm not doing this. No, I'm not following my nonprofit. And that's where the toxicity began. And it just spawned into the point to where, we're spitting on each other. We're hitting each other. We're doing the ugliest of things to each other. Because now I'm in a position to where I'm feeling like if I leave, I have nothing. All these years of putting all this money, the borrowed money from my parents, money from here, got people, giving me money for getting out, hustle money, all of this money that I accumulated to put into building a life this woman took from me. And it's me saying I have to deal with this toxicity and try to shape shift in some kind of way so that I don't lose these things that I've accumulated. And it just won't work. It won't work. Well, first I was dealing with a narcissist. So the more I give, the more they're going to take. Me being an empath, so it was understanding all of that. It was getting into the fact of realizing that if I don't get out of here, if I do not get out of here, I'm going back to prison. So either I lose all of this stuff and go to prison, or I just lose all this stuff and leave, knowing that I'm a hustler, knowing that I'm a grinder, knowing that this is what I've done my whole life is accumulate things. It's not hard for me to get things. What's hard for me is to keep it. That's the trick. That's what I got to learn. I can go out and get things all day long. Can I keep them? I've never been able to keep them. So it's now understanding all of these things, man, and remaining optimistic within that. Again, if I didn't have that optimism, I would have never left that relationship. And who knows? Who knows where that would have went? I mean, things were getting bad. Hey, Pastor Mordecai, bless you, man. Welcome. Thank you, man. You know, and man, listen, me and Mordecai have been through some things. You know, and Mordecai is striving, just got his house church up. He's a pastor now himself. And man, the both of us, man, side by side, you know, and the optimism is what kept us through. This man in my vision, in my care, went to jail, went back to jail. You know, had his darkness within my scope. You know, and thank God that I was able to remain optimistic with this brother and pull him through to now he's married, just had a child, got his place, got his own thing going. And this is what optimism does. And when you have another individual that's around you that's optimistic as well, positive, it inspires you, it motivates you. This is why it's so imperative that I do not want negative people around me. Like, I cut them right out. You come in talking about all this negative stuff, man. Listen, you got to go. Man, listen. Take all that stuff and get the hell out. I don't want it. You coming in with this negative stuff, man, get away from me with that stuff. Get away from me. My stepmother, Rose, she can be very pessimistic at times. And I'll tell her, like, Rose, no, that's it. I don't think like that. I don't do that. You know, so it's expelling it, man. You know, and I know that I'm a hard cat to be around. This I know. You have to know who I am. You have to understand what I've been through. You have to know my thought process. And I'm very transparent. I don't lie. I don't cheat. I don't steal. I don't do none of these things no more. Because if I want peace in my life, I got to be that peace. I understand that now. So it's just understanding that in a whole, that I have to be what I want in return. And so people have to understand that. You know, I love you, but if you're coming at me, that's going to affect my spirit, affect my positivity, alter my aura for the day, man, I'm cutting you right off. I don't care. It's not that I don't love you or anything of that nature. I don't want that in my cipher. I don't want my skin to register. I don't want my eardrums to vibrate that stuff. Keep your thoughts and all that stuff to yourself, man. And with that, man, I'm so sorry about the show, man. I apologize. But next week we will have it back. I had the full week to get all this stuff straight. I thank you guys for all the love and support. Again, 88.5, Spotify, Amazon. You know them all. I'm not going to sit here and keep reading them. You can just Google Thomas Free Me. Anywhere you go, I'm going to pop up like the Muffin Man. So thank you guys for all your support. I love you guys. And just remain optimistic, man. We see what's going on in Maui. We see what's going on all over this country. You know, we have to remain optimistic, and we remain optimistic in knowing that there are still good people, right? And we understand that because life is balanced. So if you see nothing but bad people around you, then you're just in the wrong circle. I promise you, there's a circle of good people. I would have never thought that until I started thinking and moving positive, and now I'm surrounded by love. I never thought I would have found so much love like what I got now. Love, support, all of that. You know, so many blessings to Pastor Jennifer in Shady Hills Mission Chapel, who standing side by side with me no matter what the people say. You know, she's standing side by side with me in that. So many blessings for that. And my newfound friend, you know, Pastor Denise, and so it's I'm just thankful for I'm really thankful for what God has shown me. You know, I'm thankful for what God has shown me. I'm thankful for what God has taken me through. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself in knowing that I stood up to that. I looked Satan in the face, and Satan threatened my life. And I told Satan to go back to hell. Cast out, demon. You could take my life. And I can do that now because I have faith in knowing that I'm protected, I'm shielded. And God put me here and put me through what he put me through because he needs soldiers. He needs soldiers. He needs warriors who will stand and defend his word to the death. And that's just where I'm at because he's shown me grace. And not too many other entities in this life has. So with that, I love you guys, man. Stay safe, be blessed, stay out of trouble, stay out of these people's prison. And if you need me, you know where to find me at. Until next week, I love you guys. Again, I apologize for tonight. Many blessings for Maui, all them. Everybody stay safe, stay blessed, and we'll catch you on the flip